Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Salam. Welcome to MACFEST 2025. Today we've got an event with a photographer. So welcome everybody, all the lovers of photography, people's stories, and Pakistan. Today's host is Lolieta Halimi. Some of you might have seen her before. She's frequently hosting events on MACFEST. She's got broad experience in the media as communications manager, events coordinator, producer, TV host at Islam Channel. I can't think of a better person to host today's event. Before we start, just a gentle reminder that the MACFEST Arts Awards, National Arts Awards, are still open. So if you have any works, even though you don't consider yourself an artist, please do share your works up to 2. You can submit up to 2. It's a free submission, so you've got nothing to lose. If you have any questions today, or if you would like to share any thoughts, please put them in the chat for us. We will pick them up and try to answer all of them, or you can put them in the Q&A portal and tell us in the chat where you're watching us from. Okay, over to you, Lulu.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all my brothers and sisters around the world. Thank you so much for joining our event today. I'm sure that it's going to be a brilliant event, as usual, with MACFEST. As Kati said, I'm more than happy to be hosting today's event. It's going to be a very special event. I love everything that is related with art, film, photography. It's my passion as well. As Kati said, I have a big background in media. So today, all of us, we will travel virtually in Pakistan. I remember last time we traveled in Afghanistan, and in different events, we have traveled in different countries as well. But today we will focus in Pakistan, and without losing time, I'm going to introduce our guest today. He's a very, very interesting character. He's a very talented artist, and I'm sure that everyone who is joining today will love the work that he does. So today we will be joined by Mobeen Ansari. He is a photographer, filmmaker, and artist from Islamabad, Pakistan, a graduate of the National College of Arts. He captures human interest stories that promote a diverse and poetic image of Pakistan. He also have published 3 photography books. One is Darkan, the second one is White in the Flag, and Miras. He focuses on iconic figures and minority communities. Mobeen has also directed 2 silent films, Hellhole and Lady of the Emerald Scarf. Very interesting. His work has been exhibited internationally, including Times Square, and he received the Swedish Red Cross Journalism Prize, Allahumma barik, for his photography on football manufacturing in Southcote. Mobeen, assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Assalamu alaikum, and good afternoon and good morning, depending on where everyone is. Lulu, thank you for the very kind introduction. It truly is an honor to be part of, MacFest. I mean, just to see such a rich, hub of art and culture, bringing all the communities together, it's something very, very close to my heart. So I'm truly happy to be a part of this.
I'm more than happy to have you, and we can't wait to go through all your art and to hear your explanation for everything that you have saved for us today. Before we go, how is the weather in Islamabad? It's sunny?
So it's very interesting. In the last 3-4 days, it was actually quite pleasant, but it suddenly just turned hot. So we can officially welcome summers.
Yeah.
So bit of an intense time in this part of the world these days. So that's been very interesting to live through. But yeah, it's good to be here.
Summer is coming, so it gives you a different vibe, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
That's
and
great.
looking forward to the photography.
That's great. That's great. Okay, I will leave the stage for you. So you tell us and take us in this virtual journey through your art, and then everyone who has any questions or want to ask artist about anything, please write down your question at our question and answers box or maybe in the chat, and you can also comment anything that you want. We will go through everything after we finish after we finish all the images that we have today. Okay, I will leave it to you.
So I think this is my presentation that I have prepared. Just like Lulu was saying that you will all get to travel virtually through my country, and I'm just so excited to share the journey with you. So before I tell you about my work, I'll just tell you a bit about my personal journey as to why I'm such a proponent of art, or why I breathe, live, and drink art. Like you can actually just see everything behind me. You can even see music instruments behind me. So I've had hearing loss since birth, and that was due to meningitis. And due to meningitis, I lost my hearing and my smell at a very young age. But that has always made me more inclined towards art because I was a very, very quiet child. And so, because of that, I was into sculpting, I was into painting. So, that became my mode of expression. So, we can go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So, my root in art has a lot of origins. So, I will go way further back. So this is my grandmother's photograph, and I have shown it, around the world. So she took this picture sometime in 1940s, early 1940s. This is a picture of my grandmother and three of her sisters, and I am very proud to call this the first selfie of the subcontinent. So I can lay claim to that. So my grandmother always took a lot of photographs, so both her and my grandfather migrated from India to Pakistan during partition 1947, and she had documented a lot of these moments. And my grandmother was always an artist. She was a floral art designer. You can see the next slide. So that's a photograph that my grandmother took when she arrived to Pakistan from India by sea, and she had just taken this picture. So the picture actual size is the size of my palm, but there's so much power in it. So since childhood, whenever I saw these pictures, or whenever I heard her talking about everything that she witnessed and how she captured it on these large format, analog cameras, I was very fascinated by it. So I guess this was, part of my genes. It runs in the family. So my father also, he does a lot of photography. He used to do a lot of it. And although he's an engineer, he's a brilliant, brilliant photographer. So I guess, seeing everybody in the family had been very inspiring for me. So we can go to the next slide. So I have a background as a painter. And what used to happen is that I had today, you can see my hearing is fit into my ears. But 30, 35 years back, the hearing aid used to be a big model. It used to be strapped around you. So I was always very conscious, and I was always very shy. And because it always caught a lot of attention. So, like I mentioned earlier, I would just dive deep into painting, the photography, and one day I had an appointment with the doctor who actually diagnosed my hearing loss. He still is my doctor, almost 38 years later. In fact, I just saw him yesterday. So he saw that I was making like these doodles of him. He was a very interesting fellow. And that is when my parents realized, yeah, this kid had some, love for art. So um, in 2002, one of the first digital cameras had just sort of come out, or let's just say my father had bought it, and I took it with me to school. And I was in my O levels or high school at this time. And keep in mind, I was very introverted with very, very few friends. So today, everybody has a smartphone, no big deal. But at that time, if you had a camera, you were golden. And so I would take pictures of everything from my, teachers to my classmates to building to even little things like my class fellows getting late to school. So that is where I started getting everybody's attention. And that is where I would get the title of pictorial historian. And that award is still in my office. So once they gave me that award, that is when I found my calling. And that is where I found my passion to document heritage sites. So we can go to the next slide now. So tapestry is my favorite word. Always has been, because tapestry can be a form of art in a different way. So if you look at this photograph, this is a map of Pakistan, and I've had the privilege of traveling across the land. And at one point, like even two times, three times around the whole country. And last year, I did an experiment where I decided to uh, make small mosaics of photographs that are taken in each region, whether it was Punjab province or the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province or the Sindh province, the Balochistan, Gilgit-Baltistan, and I put all of this together. Obviously, I have not been to all of it. It's a very big country, but for me, that was the best. And this is a journey I would like to take you on today. And the next slide.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So the reason I
Sense
use
of
signs of
time.
time is
Yeah.
so I absolutely love Sands of Time because I have seen that referred to in movies and in books. And Pakistan is home to a lot of heritage sites. It actually tells you the whole story. And this is the city of Lahore, which many of you may know. And Lahore was home to a lot of dynasties, a lot of eras. So you can actually see that back there in the Badshahi Mosque from the Mughal time. And then you can see the Samadhi of Ranjit Singh, the Sikh Samadhi. And then you can also see a wall that was also made during the British time. So I found it very, very interesting to see how all these three came together. And I took this photograph in 2009, and I absolutely love photographing Lahore.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide. So I absolutely love capturing landscape that people don't know about. So this is a hill where there was this sort of a myth where people believe that Muhammad bin Qasim, who is said to have brought Islam to the subcontinent, that he had some sort of a sword fight with somebody there, and that is why it left a lot of these, marks on this particular rock. And due to real estate, a lot of these rocks were getting demolished, and then somebody decided to build a shrine and a mosque on top of it. So now nobody can demolish it. So I found it very, very interesting
Yeah.
how the natural permissions must have caused for it to look this way. Next slide. So that's Sands of Time. That's in South Punjab, and that's where I just kept on, capturing heritage sites across north and south.
Mm-hmm. Very
Next slide.
interesting.
Thank you. Next slide.
Next one, Steve.
And then, yeah, I think you can keep going with the next slide, and then I will stop you because these are the generic images. And this is Mohenjo-daro. This is almost a 5,000-year-old civilization
Mm-hmm.
where I've had the privilege of seeing it at dawn, and it's just an amazing, amazing place. Later, I'll be talking about impacts of climate change. Now, this place had withstood so many centuries, but now, due to the flood that happened in Pakistan 3 years back, a lot of its boundary walls and a lot of its walls are starting to fall. For me, that is a very alarming effect of climate change that it can even affect things that withstood um, so much time.
Yeah.
Next
We can
slide.
go with the next one. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, in the sands of time, you see that there's a lot of um, interesting relic that we have from the past. So this is an abandoned railway station in Balochistan, and I found it to be very interesting. And last year I had an exhibition, and this is where I displayed this. And just last week I actually just sold this photograph, so I'm very happy about this.
Oh, that's great. Exclusive for MACFEST.
And so, you know, I'm also a portrait photographer. And as a portrait photographer, I have this very strong connection to doors, which is a lot to do with portraits as well as not. Because you look at all of these doors and you think of how many years they've seen, how many residents have lived inside, stories of joy and sorrow. So I made this collage in 2017, and I'll be continuing it now because it's been 8 years since I made this collage. So I
Hmm.
absolutely love photographing doors.
Hmm.
So over the years, my perspectives have changed, and which is why I love to photograph a place again and again. So you see, this is Quetta in Balochistan. I was always fascinated because of how it looked like it was a sea of light. And the first time I went there was almost 10 years back. So I took it from one perspective, but I was not happy. If you look in the next picture, I went even further up. And so, I tried to capture it. So that's the behind the scenes of me. In the next picture,
Yeah.
you
Let's go to the next one, Steve. Let's see the next one. This.
and so this is where I documented it. I keep going higher and higher. And if you look at the light on the upper left, if you can spot that, that's where I wanted to go. And that turns out to be the highest point. And that's the picture which is sort of displayed behind me there. And you will see in
Oh,
that in the next slide.
wow. Very
So,
interesting.
oh, it's after this.
The one next after this, yeah?
So I just kept going higher and higher.
Yeah.
And that's,
Wider
you
and
know,
wider at the same time.
yeah, exactly. And because of how interesting it was to see how they built the houses, the Hazara community, all nestled in the hills. So in the next photograph, you'll be seeing the picture I'm actually talking about. And I kept climbing with my friend Rashid, and who is an amazing friend and a guide from me in Balochistan.
Yeah.
And in the next photograph, then you start seeing it. So I like to call this picture the flying house, because it actually looked like that, or a
Yeah.
spaceship, or however you want to call it. So people from that community come up there to say a prayer or inform a devotion, and that's why you see the janamas. So I find it very fascinating, the stories you can find in every nook and cranny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love the fact is that it's like a window. It's very
Yeah,
metaphorically, it's very, there is like a very deep meaning because usually we always say, go beyond the window, look beyond the window. So it's very interesting. Yeah, we can go with the
thank you.
next one.
Thank you. So one thing I want to add is that people in that community have been through a lot in terms of um, terrorism. And so,
Yeah,
when I see those lights, for me, it speaks volumes of the reference, how to keep the lights on, how the spirit is so indomitable. So, so I absolutely love documenting that. So
yeah,
in the photograph that you're seeing now, it's an old library in a city, and I'm absolutely a big fan of taking pictures of old places, old libraries. And this was an old library which just looked like it was just worn down. But somebody took me there and he told me that I was in for a surprise. So in the next picture, you'll be seeing how it looked like inside. And
yeah.
it had many amazing gems. It had a 600 years old handwritten copy of the Quran. And so that image stuck with me. Because in the next picture, you will see that um, I was inspired by Harry Potter, so I just decided to go there with candles. But don't worry, no books were harmed in the making of this photograph. A lot of experts were involved. We just, put all these small lights in different spots. And in the next picture, we see the librarian who is no longer with us, but he was such a good sport. And the library belonged to his father. It was made in 1933. And so for me, this is one of the most impactful photographs. In fact, it is also in my office.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, so this place has a very special place in my heart, as all these places do. So I was inspired by Harry Potter. So I'm inspired by pop culture quite a lot in my photographs. In the
Mm-hmm.
next,
Beautiful.
thank you. So there's such a surreal kind of diversity that you get to see in this country, and you
I love
know,
silver. I love it.
thank you, thank you. So if you keep going through the slides, I will talk you through this. So Pakistan is home to some of the highest peaks and some of the most diverse landscapes, which I absolutely have had a joy of traveling through, from Africa blossoms to autumn, and a lot of
Mhm.
people from around the world to visit us. So in the next, so this was not a planned picture. I just wanted to take a picture of the old door, and it just swung open, and a shepherd brought about some sheep that came into frame. So it's one of my favorite. It was during like early spring, so that's why you can see like semi-bloomed flowers.
Wow, it looks like a picture on the frame.
Thank you, thank you. That's the idea.
It's
So you can
beautiful.
proceed to
The
the next slide.
colors and everything else, it's beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
Let's go with the
Because
next one. Let's see the next one.
so I have the joy of visiting these places in spring and in fall. If you look at the next one.
Mm-hmm. Ah, okay.
So I'm truly fascinated, and that is why I love photographing the same places or same people over a period of a few years. And a
Yeah.
lot of that also has to do with climate change. So in the next picture, you'll be seeing a lot of those examples. So the power of photography is that it can leave an impact on a person, and it's always so open to interpretation. When I took this picture, I posted it on my social media almost 10 years back. And this friend of mine asked me to post this picture to her wall. And so I did that. But then I asked her why. I was just curious. And she said because she had stage 4 cancer. And this
Wow.
picture gave her hope. So for her, this picture gave her hope of if whatever her destiny was, that this would imply the door to heaven for her.
Oh, wow. Wow, very
Still
meaningful.
get to see this
Yeah.
place. She's still with us today, so she'll be visiting this place soon. Even after that, I realized that photography may just be like they say, a picture tells a thousand stories, or
Mm-hmm.
a thousand words. But for me, that was the day where I realized that it can truly have a profound effect on people. In the next picture, you'll be seeing that. So autumn is absolutely amazing, and then you keep going to the photographs. Because the next one. And the same photograph, let's say the same spot I photographed during fall and blossom, which you'll be seeing in the next one. So there's something I like to follow known as the rule of thirds. And, you see that there are so many layers. You can see there's snow, and then there's a tree line, and then you can see a lot of ghosts. So if you have to see heaven, for me, that would be it.
Yeah, heaven in earth.
And from documenting landscape up north to down south, which is Balochistan. This is wedged between Iran and Afghanistan, a truly beautiful place. And to capture lonely figures in the midst or in midst of landscapes is something I'm truly fascinated by. And next one.
Beautiful.
And this is one of the highest deserts in the world. So this is nestled between mountains. This is in Shkardu, which is right next door to Tibet. So you can see all of the autumn trees lined up on the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And next one. Then going down to the seaside, this is in Ormara. This is also in South Balochistan, which is that's a few kilometers from Oman. Next.
Beautiful.
And recently, I have started to capture more water elements, and there are so many ways to capture fall. I have been capturing autumn in this region for almost 12 years now. Even last year, I went. Each day, each year, I find something new. Although it's been 22 years for me in photography, there is still a lot that I have to learn. And each time, I find just something new. And climate change offers you that as well. I
Yeah,
mean,
true,
both good reasons and bad reasons. So, next picture.
true, definitely.
So this was on the Indus River, where this is a frozen lava, where the Indus River it comes down, the water level comes down during the winter months, and you see these crazy formations. And that is also in the same region where the last photograph was taken, the last slide. Uh,
Wow, and the
so next,
colors are wonderful. If you want to create these colors, like literally you can't. It's just everything from Allah.
oh
Allah
yeah,
creates in
it's
a
everything from
beautiful
Allah.
way.
Yeah, indeed, Allah is the best artist, and that is why it's such a joy to capture this. Uh, so there's one thing I want to talk about. My connection between spirituality and art. Although I feel that you know, um, they're the same thing. One thing I've realized as an artist is when you're an artist, you come up with a composition, you come up with a piece of art, and you have to brainstorm. You have to sketch how am I going to come up with this painting, how am I going to justify this, and you have to come up with why you chose this color or why you chose to have this kind of placement of objects in the painting. And you think about everything that God, everything that Allah has placed on this earth, and you start thinking about it, and you start thinking, He truly is the best artist of all.
Yeah.
And I can never do justice to it. And this photograph in particular, if you look at it, I documented it from midday to sundown. So it was at Maghrib time. So that's why you see these kind of lights.
Yeah, and subhanAllah, when you think about it, Mubin, in different period of times, like let's say after 3 hours, it's completely different. Imagine in seasons or after some years. It's beautiful how the nature has her own secrets, if I can say, has their own things
Yes,
that reveals in different period of time.
absolutely, absolutely. The next photograph. So this was my first nighttime photograph of this place called Nanga Parbat, which translates to Naked Mountain. This is the seventh highest mountain in the world, and it is also known as the Killer Mountain. So I had taken this picture about 14 years back, and it was under full moon. I couldn't see it from the naked eye, but through the camera, I could really focus using my zoom lens. And when I took this picture, it brought me so much peace. And this picture for me is like a hallmark because it taught me so much about life, about capturing nighttime, and
Yeah.
about capturing the celestial sky, which you'll be seeing in the next few photographs.
I love
And
it, reaching for the stars.
yeah, thank you. So I absolutely love photographing Milky Way. I love photographing stars, and the doing deep sky photography. So there are two kinds of photography that you do when it comes to astrophotography. There's the wide angle, and then you go close. And the next photo you'll be seeing that. So I just zoomed really close into the Milky Way, and I did some time lapses of it. And
Wow.
I'm really into science fiction. I'm really into understanding all about secrets of the universe. You know, and so
Yeah.
much that Lord of the Worlds, Allah, has put there. And so in the next picture, this is my personal favorite. This is the Orion Nebula and Orion's belt. And little do people know that astrophotography requires a lot of patience, a lot of time. So for
Yeah.
some pictures, it takes 30 seconds. This one took 6 hours for me. So I spent 6 hours just really monitoring where all the sky systems went, because those three blue objects that you see is
Yeah.
known as Orion Belt, and below that, on the lower right, the reddish object is known as the Orion Nebula, where stars are born.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see it from the naked eye. But for 6 hours, I took this picture, and then I sort of extrapolated all that data, and I just sort of stacked the images together, and that's how this came about. So I'm hoping to do more of this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You really want to basically give to others the opportunity to see what really your eyes are capturing, because even while we know that the technology is advanced, still what our eyes see is very difficult to put it on a whole window.
Absolutely. Although I still have to update my own technology. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't updated my camera for nine
Yeah.
years, so I have to look into that. Now with AI coming about, but that's a different story. But that is the joy that I find in taking all of these
Yeah.
pictures. So if you look at in the next slide, capturing spirituality is in form of mosque, in form of devotion, in form of uh, architecture, in form of just anything. And Pakistan is home to so many mosques that were built over the centuries, and the kind of pattern that you see, the kind of um, material that was used is fascinating for me. So you keep going to the photographs, and I'll stop. And these look like tree photographs, but there's an interesting thing about places of worship. Uh, so if you look at all of these cathedrals, they are photographed in a very specific way. So I decided to do an experiment and photograph this mosque in Lahore the very same way. It's a Wazir Khan Mosque in Lahore, and I absolutely loved it. And I got really close to the member. I lied down flat and I just took this picture. So for me to capture all of these intricate details and see what happens in those times, how much time, energy, and labor they've invested in those time and in that photograph. So in capturing all of these patterns, um, it was an absolute joy capturing this. If you keep going, I will stop you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, this is not an old moth, but this is a new one, and this is made by a very famous artist. His name is Kamil Khan Mumtaz, and he's trying to bring back the traditional old style of architecture. It is amazing how much twilight or Maghrib time can bring, so much beauty that it can bring. And the next, so what I love about documenting about moths is, especially old moths, where you think about how many prayers have been recited in those, how many prayers must have been heard, what these people prayed for. And I think in the next photo, you'll be seeing a bit of that.
Beautiful.
And the next, and this is my personal favorite. So you can see how all of them, are down for sajda. And it was also during Maghrib time. Um, so I took this picture during the pandemic. So thankfully, the social distancing that we had in place at that time allowed me to get this very specific angle and just one row of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the next, so I just kept on capturing this. And I took this picture just in during Ramadan.
Beautiful. Wow. The colors as well.
And this is a mosque also in Skadu, the mountainous region I was talking about. And this is said to be the first mosque in the region. And there's so many carpets all over it. And, it's just made in a traditional Kashmiri style. And it just had a special charm to it.
I love the blend of colors.
And so this place is called Jabal Inur, not the Jabal Inur in Saudi Arabia. But what happens is that many years back, these people took an initiative in Balochistan, in the city of Quetta, to actually store all the old copies of Quran, the Holy Quran, and all the religious books. So they said instead of all the books facing danger, they decided to make a long network of tunnels and store those books. So that's why it's called Jabal Nur. So this is one part of the cave.
Beautiful. What are those things in the end? Are they clothes or is just in
Oh,
the
so
end
some of those are clothes. So I believe that there are some of clothes, and
bags?
some of those are like books that there. Some of them are books, and I think in the lower part they had something just to protect them from being on the floor. So there was all these networks um of all of these books being housed there. So it's very fascinating. It
Mhm.
goes on for almost 2 kilometers.
It is definitely beautiful.
It is. So I've had the fortune of having my photograph displayed at Lahore Airport. This is where art can truly, made a public intervention. And this was a very exciting project with the Lahore Wall City Authority and Destination Media. They were very kind to, ask me for my photographs of Lahore. I'm honored because Lahore is it's like second home to me, and I photographed it for such a long time. It was an honor. So keep going to keep seeing these pictures. And I mean, there's so many photographers who have documented it over the years. So I'm really honored. So if any of you are flying in or out of Lahore, so keep an eye out for those. So the joy of street and portrait photography, especially in Pakistan, is that there is no shortage of stories. You
Mm-hmm.
will always find something. Like this person from the indigenous Kalash tribe. They are believed to be descendants of Alexander, but that is not the case. They were there way before. The population is declining. One of the things I do is to document indigenous communities. So this was one portrait I've taken of this lady. She's like an adopted grandmother. And then you have this picture where I wanted to portray some sort of a comedy. So this was cattle and a rooster market. You can see this rooster and friends, and so you find all these different sorts of people with different clothes, with different stories on their faces, and some people have this very intense sort of expression that just catches your eye.
Yeah, it's fascinating the fact that how much a face can you can understand from a face from their features. For example, there are some faces that you can tell that these people have been suffering a lot in life, or you can see the joy or the suffering in the features that they have. It's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that you can see that in Pakistan there's such a splash of color, and that if you keep looking at these pictures, you would see that it feels like many different countries in one. And I recently captured this picture at the Festival of Lamps, which was held to commemorate a death anniversary of a poet slash Sufi mystic. And it was just fascinating for me to see. And in the next picture, you would see how many devotees there were in front of this fire pit. And it was interesting because this has been the custom since 1599 in that particular shrine. Uh, so it's very interesting to see how some traditions have held on.
Wow, yeah. It's the same and the mosque on the background as well. It's beautiful.
The same one, yeah. And Pakistan is home to many different civilizations. So this particular place belonged to the White Huns between the 4th to 7th century AD, and it was a huge network of caves a kingdom used to be there, and very few people know about this. So my friend and I, we decided to go there and just light up all the candles along the way. It was amazing. It was so
Mhm.
dark over there that once you spend some time, you discover more. So the next picture, you'll be seeing a throne room in the very same place. And you realize that all of these were emerald mines. So it's so fascinating how much history this country has.
Definitely. The art and the culture, it's fascinating as well. The combination of colors, the tradition.
Mm. So, um, the power of narrative, it can go both ways. Um, so, I had taken this picture of a school, a community school, where you had absolutely nothing, where you had no schools at all. So this person, she set up this school, and people, um, children who could not, parents of children who could not afford education were able to send the children to school. And it was an amazing, amazing project. So one of the things I did was I just went on the rooftop and I took pictures of the school assembly, which you'll be seeing in the next picture. After that, I waited for all the children to come to school, and this was it. And see if you can spot the rebel. It's a beauty in a line, but you can see that there's one person who's fixing her dress, and it became a very famous picture. It was shared very widely on social media around the world. And if you keep going in the next pictures, so you keep going and you see how many people around the world actually kept on sharing it, and it just sees so many likes. But then what happened was that an Italian satire page picked it up, and they said that this was a terrorist factory. And this led to a whole kind of culture war where there was so much misunderstanding. I mean, perspective,
Wow, it's
narrative is such a
very
powerful thing.
interesting. Yeah.
You know, it it can go wrong both ways. Now, can you imagine that these guys were doing incredible work, and by posting something like this, even as a satire, you're taking away from it.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to be mindful of. You know, all of you must have heard like all this uh, thing going on between India and Pakistan. And one thing I realized was that when all of that happens, the first thing to die is the truth. Truth is the first casualty.
Mm.
Nobody wins in the battle of narratives. So it always, always good to speak the truth, truth to power. So this is what I learned from this photograph. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have thought that when I took this picture in 2017, and then all these years later, that happened. So it's a very interesting discussion I keep on having in my mind. Every time I post a photograph, every time I take a picture as well. So,
It's very meaningful what you said, literally. The power
so
that a picture may have in society is so big. Sometimes we forget that there are some things that really, really has a huge impact.
absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's kind of a tightrope, especially to walk, these
Yeah.
days. Um, you see around the world how you kind of see the wave of where the world is going, and then you try to see. So it's very interesting how freedom of speech or how freedom of expression is it keeps on varying everywhere, and
Yeah.
that combined with narrative is it's just something. It's a lot of pressure on photographers, honestly, on artists as well. But you try to use it for something meaningful as well. And one of the battles that we are truly, truly fighting is climate change. And with all of the conflict that's happening right now in this part of the world, it's the people that suffer. If we all work together, you would see that there are so many common factors that both countries suffer from. and that climate change, that among 100 other issues. That's why my mission is also to document climate change, and you'll be seeing these pictures in the next slide. I'm crazy about climbing mountains and glaciers, so I just trekked about 10 kilometers of that glacier behind me, and it was absolutely insane. But I went there to document melting glaciers. When people talk about melting glaciers, um, there's obviously a lot of awareness there about melting polar ice caps and whatnot. But once you look inside, you'll be very alarmed, and that's what you see in the next picture.
Mm-hmm. Let's go through them. Mm-hmm.
So it was the ice cave, natural formation, and it was about a kilometer and a half long. And I took this picture in December. It was minus 20 degrees. There was no rain, there was no snowfall. And can you imagine, in 24 hours, this melted. It completely melted in 24 hours. The next day I crossed it was no longer there. That is how rapidly these things are melting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the next slide, so this glacier was providing water to the locals, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's melting so rapidly that they have to install pipes going further up and further up. For
Mm-hmm.
how longer can you keep going further? And we keep going to the next slide, and you can see that this is how rapidly it melts even in the winters, even at the peak of winter. So in the next slide, you change, and you know what? As if life was not tough already, how the locals collect water in high regions in Gilgit-Baltistan is they go to the river and they break the ice and they collect their water and they make 2 or 3 different rounds of it. But what
True.
happens when that glacier melts? So there are so many, you know, human stories that we have to keep in accounting other than just the statistics of it. And the next slide. And then, one of the things I realized was making friends with shepherds. Because when you're friends with shepherds, you start to understand, uh, the movement of flocks. You start to understand what time of the year, which plants are going to blossom, and so forth. And you'll be seeing the next picture. So you start seeing like different formation, different terrains of farming. And next slide. And I was just carefully following this farmer, the shepherd who was taking his flock, and I waited for him to come near me. And when they came close, this is what I saw in the next picture. So it was very, very fascinating to see. Like the guy literally had like a crown.
Yeah. True. Subhanallah, what Allah creates.
Subhanallah. And to then this is completely down south where there's crop burning involved. Uh, so this was also, I'm not sure, how much this also contributed to climate change. I've taken this picture some 13 years back. Little did I know that, years later, how adverse the reactions might be. But they were burning crops in the winter. So it's very, very interesting to see how there are different farming practices in different parts of the country. Next slide. And then, you follow all these shepherds, you see all of these stories.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so different. So storytelling by light is something I'm truly fascinated by. So you have to work with light. So obviously this is not my painting. I cannot claim, anything by uh, the great artist who made this, the Last Supper. The reason why I'm showing you this is uh, because this painting tells the whole story of light. If you look at the center, you see Jesus. There's the most amount of light on Jesus. And on one
Mm-hmm.
side of the companions of Jesus, you see there's more light, and one of them there's less light. So, and on Judas Iscariot, there is the least amount of light. I mean, you practically it's impossible to see him. Every
Yeah.
the story of how Judas betrayed Jesus. So That's why that lighting the whole story of the Bible was told. And I found that so fascinating. And that's how I try to implement it in terms of photography. So next slide. And then, I had to take this picture for a project. And it was just a behind the scene glimpse of how I made a picture come alive. I called it the time traveler. If you see the next slide.
Beautiful, yeah, very meaningful.
Thank you.
And I'm sure it's quite difficult to like capture the lights and everything. It's quite very, very difficult to get that feeling on a picture.
It is, but it's totally worth it. And then I had to take pictures of five beetles from a tribe, and this was a very, very specific kind of planning that I had to do. It's not
Yeah.
as simple as just taking a picture. You have to take care of the people you're photographing. So this
Yeah.
was the lead
That's why
slide.
you are artist. Not everyone can do what you do. It's a talent that Allah gives you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're very kind to say that. Um, I mean, responsible photography and photojournalism involved. So I had photographed this lady. In the previous picture, you saw me talking to the chief of the tribe, asking him about the right sand dune, because I wanted the sand dune in the picture, but I also wanted her to um, sort of uh, blow enough fire. So we placed her at this sand dune where the direction of the wind was going the other way, so that it wouldn't burn her. So I had a person next to me who I would say the word to, and I would give him and he would give a signal to them, and they would sort of drink the oil, inhale it. I don't know how it's done, and blow the fire. And the result was the next picture.
So she's taking the fire from her mouth, yeah? With her. It's quite
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So I wanted to capture this, and this is a model and actress by the name of Iman Ali. Earlier, I had mentioned that I love stories of resilience. And so Iman Ali, she is a very famous actress and model, and she suffers from multiple sclerosis. In spite of that, she continued to raise awareness about multiple sclerosis, and that's why I took a picture. No glamorous lighting or anything were involved. In the next picture, you will see the behind the scenes. And that is how we got the picture, just using a window light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like I've been fortunate to have worked with a different organization where I've been able to implement my styles or have those stories relating to migration or climate change or health. And the next slide. So there was this music platform, Coke Studio. They wanted some editorial pictures as opposed to glamorous. So they wanted me to take pictures the way I take pictures. And you keep going to the slide. So the idea was to document the whole area of the place, the whole how the set, and not necessarily the music part of it, brand part of it,
Mm-hmm.
about people who were involved. And so that is what I was documenting. You keep going to the next slide, and then you'll see that I tried to sort of capture it using the same lighting I use. And I got to photograph the cover for this song.
Beautiful, mashallah.
Thank you. It was a beautiful song. It was in collaboration with
Mm-hmm.
several Norwegian musicians and singers. So I've had one assignment where I captured stories of migration. A friend of mine had an organization that helped evacuate the vulnerable communities from Afghanistan to different parts of the world. And while they were in Pakistan, I got to take their pictures. You see in the next slide. And there was not a lot that you could work with. Due to security reasons, they were not allowed out. So you had to work with expression or the belongings that they had. And then they were able to get asylum to Europe. And my friend asked me to then also shadow them in Europe and document how their lives had changed. So it's the very same people that you will see now there.
Yeah, there is so much stories behind these pictures. I'm sure each of them, they have their
Yeah,
own journey
uh,
and story to
yeah, and
tell
they can,
and to go through.
yeah, you can go on slide and obviously documenting them next to landmarks at the Collegium. Um,
Beautiful,
and
yeah.
so And so this is where you can see how they held on to, their clothes or the pictures or anything that they had of sentimental value. And now in the next picture, you will see that they continue to do the cycling. They were part of the Women's Army of Afghanistan,
Mm-hmm.
Bamiyan province. So that was a very interesting assignment. My first book is called Dharkan, where I document a lot of icons, the people with stories of resilience. And we keep going to the next slide. I'll just show you some people I forgot. The humanitarian Abdul Sattar AD, who had that the largest network of ambulances. And the next slide, you will be seeing Abida Parveen. She's known as the Queen of Sufi music. She had a very popular, a lot of you maybe know it. And the next slide, Shima Kermani, an activist and a classical dancer and an actress. And a lot of the people have these stories of power and strength. And on the next slide, um, this you had this normal street photo. This is from the Zoroastrian community. I was just taking a picture of hers, and she just got up and she went inside and came out, and they started hitting the railing uh, with a bar. And you see that what happens in the next picture. Like 30 cats came. If you go to the back, and you can see that
Oh, that's cute.
it's really fascinating. And in documenting a lot of these people, my photograph also found their way into public sphere. So you see that in the next picture. So this is a very famous singer, Ataullah Isaac Helbi, who also lives in London now. And in the next picture, you will see that one of the pictures I took of his also made its way to the back of a truck. And the interesting thing
Wow.
is, he used to be a truck driver himself. So I was happy to see my work displayed, on that
Mm-hmm.
platform.
Mm-hmm.
And the next picture, you see a famous singer, Tina Sani. She was a brand ambassador for Spotify. And if you look in the next picture, it's that picture made its way, although I took that picture in 2011, 2 years back, this picture made its way to the Spotify billboard on Times Square. In the next picture, you'll be seeing that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Thank you. I mean, I'm simply writing on a coattail, so, but I was happy to see this. I'm very proud of this. I actually stayed up, it was during Ramadan, and so Writing the Flag is my book, which is based on lives and festivities of religious minorities of Pakistan, because it is in our faith to safeguard rights of religious minorities. So I wanted to celebrate the diversity and inclusivity. And as we go in the next picture, my grandmother's only best friend in life was from the Zoroastrian community, and she always kept in touch with her. And that was the first point of inspiration. And the next picture, the bearded person on the right in the left picture is my father, and next to him, the person with the mustache is Uncle Ronnie. His name is Ronald. So, a few years before I was born, my father had abdominal tuberculosis, and he lost a lot of blood after the surgery, and the doctors needed O positive. So, Ronald Uncle had it. The reason I'm sharing this is because of Ronald Uncle, my father lived, and Ronald Uncle happened to be a Christian. And for me, this was a huge lesson that no matter your faith, caste, creed, all of us are united in humanity. And that's what I wanted to celebrate. So my childhood was spent going to the church to see how Easter celebrations are done. In the next picture, you'll be seeing pictures of religious minorities. So you can, Steve, just go to the slide and that'll be it. And this is on the sixth festival of Baisakhi, the welcoming of spring. And you keep going.
Beautiful.
This is from the same festival. And this is from the
Mhm.
Kailash festival.
Mhm. Mhm.
Thank you. And this is the same lady whose picture I showed earlier.
Yeah.
And after over the course of few years, and
I
she has very
love her
striking eyes.
jewelries and the way how she has done her hairs as well. It shows a lot in terms of
Yeah,
culture as
fascinating.
well. Yeah.
Thank you. So
Beautiful.
in the next picture, I photographed her 4 years after that. And although we did not speak the same language, she adopted me as a grandson.
Oh,
And
that's
next slide.
amazing. I love her eyes as well.
Thank you. And now we can go to the last slide, and that'll be it. And then she adopted me as a grandson, and we just didn't need the language. That's where I realized the power of photography is also communication.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it's beautiful how you can capture one moment and it stays like that forever in a picture.
Thank you. And that is her posing with my book. So I hope she's happy with the pictures because she's been photographed by many photographers from around the world over the last 50 years.
You are her grandson, so obviously she will be happy with everything.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's the end of my slide. And, thank you everybody for being part of the journey. I'm honored to have presented. And
Thank you so much, really, for this amazing presentation. It has been great having you on our event and seeing all those beautiful pictures. Trust me, I knew that we had a lot of pictures. I couldn't stop you, but I had so many comments while we were going through. It's amazing how you captured everything and how you have showcased the miracle of Allah, how beautiful He creates, and what is fascinating as well is what you said, that through years everything has changed, and having the ability to capture some moments and then going back again to those places or those people and capturing those moments again and make the difference, see the difference, talk about the difference. It's another art. So was very, very nice to also bring in some of the messages that you shared with us in terms of climate change. There are so many workshops that are going through. People are basically taking action. It's very, very interesting to know how climate change is impacting in the nature, impacting in human being, in us, in our health, and everything else that you said through your presentation. I will go through quickly. There are some questions in the chat. One of Shama, she's asking, what's your favorite place to take pictures, photos? That's quite interesting as a question.
that's a very difficult question. It keeps changing. I mean, but obviously, the north of Pakistan is something that can never change. Um, but maybe next year I would have a different answer. So I guess that really depends. But yes, northern Pakistan is it's the safest bet for me.
Yeah, that's great. Amazing. And what about in terms of like nature? Do you like more mountains, beach, deserts, or you can't say anything when it comes to that?
Always mountains, always. Because I'm living in Islamabad, my house is right across the mountains. So I always had an affinity for mountains as well. I love trekking. Um, but every time I've gone to the desert or the sea or the river as of late, I started finding them amazing as well. So all of them just tell a different story. That's the good thing about Gilgit-Baltistan because it's like you're in the mountains, you have desert and lakes as well at once. So
Yeah.
you get to see
You
all of
have
them.
everything in one, right?
Yes, yes, that makes it easy.
That's great. And she also is asking, do you photograph wild animals?
I do actually. I have photographed the ibex, one of the national animals of Pakistan. It's not something I have fully explored. That is an uncharted territory for me. So no, I have not photographed wild animals yet. Honestly, I'm just intimidated by two kind of photographers, wedding photographers and wildlife photographers, because they're such experts in the field, right? So I wouldn't really dare go onto that territory. Uh, Maybe someday.
Yeah, definitely, inshallah. There is another question from Munira. She's asking, will we get a recurring later? I'm in different countries, so missed out in the beginning. Definitely. I think this is a question for me. You will have everything also posted on our socials, on YouTube, so you can find all the event on our YouTube channel, so you can have a look on it later. You can also share it with your friends, with anyone that it may have interest in photography and also wants to follow the footsteps of Mubin. Also, there are so many nice comments for you, Mobeen. Literally, there are some highlights. Everyone is congratulating you on your beautiful pictures and how nice they are taken and how they are remarkable. So, because of lack of time, I'm not going through all of the beautiful comments, but I think we have one more question before I have a final question for you. Um, what Koki is asking, who is your favorite photographer?
Who's my favorite photographer? Lots of them actually. Um, I mean, because I like to photograph landscapes as well as people. So I think so in terms of photojournalism, my favorite would be Esther Bubbly. Esther Bubbly was an African American photographer who took pictures of her community, back when they still didn't have equal right or equal access. And those were such poignant, powerful photographs that really, really humanized the Black community. And that those were such powerful photographs for me. And that is especially what we need today, you know, because especially when you're seeing conflicts in Gaza. So you sort of need that to humanize
Yeah.
all of these stories. So for me, that was a very, very poignant, powerful way of storytelling. Steve McCurry in terms of portraits. So I have tried to copy some of his style. And then I also enjoy works by Gregory Crutzen. Gregory Crutzen, he takes photographs um, as if he takes sort of he's making a big film, and it's fascinating because he had like always at any given time 10 different sources of light, and you can never really identify it. But I
Yeah.
have a top 20 list of favorite photographers, and I think somebody asked me where we can find my film, Steve. You can find it on my YouTube. One of my films is there. The other one, somebody who commissioned the screening of their film had put it on their website. If you just enter Hellhole Mobeen Ansari, you'll find that. And on my YouTube, you'll find Lady of the Emerald Scarf. I still
Mhm.
have to upload a film on my YouTube. I'm just waiting for next year so that I can celebrate 10 years of Hellhole.
Amazing. That's great. And someone else is asking, where can we find your films?
He's just answered that.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't. Where can we find your two films?
Mobeen has just answered that, Lulu.
Okay, cool. So, sorry, I wasn't paying attention because I was reading all of the messages in the chat. I know now that we have to leave because of lack of time, but before you leave, I really want to ask you, what is an advice that you would like to give to anyone who wants to follow your footsteps, who loves photography, who has a passion for photography, and who wants to probably one day be like you?
So, I think in terms of photography, you always have to be very, very patient. It is always a long game. There's always a lot to learn. That is why I photograph the same subject over and over and over again, be it a better understanding of the person or the place I'm photographing, or be it a better skill set that I have put on. I still have a lot to learn. I make a lot of mistakes. Um, and always be open to telling the story. All of us have a story, and this the coming years are going to be very challenging because it's going to be an advent of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is unfortunately, I mean, it has both positive and negative. That's a different debate altogether. My brother, who works in IT, he says that AI is not yet smart enough to take his job. He has to keep studying, he has to keep outpacing, he has to keep studying that. So as photographer, you have to do the same thing. You have to do what the AI generated image cannot get. You have to just be a step ahead, no matter what the prompts are, and always retain the humanity of it. Because photography is about being a pictorial historian. As for following in my footsteps, I'm honored if anybody would say that. But whenever anybody has asked me that question, I would say, don't follow in my footsteps. Do better than me. I would love to see that. What gives me a big joy is when I see somebody who tells me that they love my photograph or want to do what I do. I want them to be better, and I want to learn from them because I always want to be open to learning new perspectives and everything. Always be open to that. There will always be creative blocks. Don't be put down by that, and just keep clicking.
It's amazing how this new generation, Mubin, have this amazing ability on creative side of things. It's wonderful to see how much they are achieving and how fast the world is going. So I would just add something on what you said. Aim for the stars, and nothing is impossible. Follow your passion, and I'm sure everyone in the chat, maybe their passion is not photography, something else. Keep going, don't give up, nothing is impossible, you can do it, and aim for the stars. Thank you so much for being today, Mubin. It was a pleasure for having you on our event and for showcasing your talent. And hopefully, in the future, we will see your work also in other countries. And you never know how Allah will make it happen to meet together and to go through everything that life brings on each other's journey. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who joined us today. Thank you everyone for all your questions and good comments. I will leave it with Kathy now. I'm sure that she has some information to share for all our audience for our upcoming events on MACFEST. Assalamu alaikum and thank you from my side.
Lulu, it was a pleasure. Mobeen, it was an absolute pleasure. Love your photography. Very quickly, also thank you to everybody who joined us today. Because we've got another event coming up, we only have a short break now. It's the Multilingual Mushaira International Poetry event. So if you can't join us, now this is the reason why we had to reschedule Mobeen's event and start at 1 o'clock, not 2 o'clock. But the event has been recorded, so if you have missed the beginning today, please give it a few days and go to YouTube, MACFEST YouTube. You will be able to watch it, or go directly to Facebook because it has been live streamed as usual. And if we have any photographers in the audience, just a quick reminder, if you're based in the UK, we've got an Arts Awards process still open. You can submit your artworks up to 2. The submission is free. You've got nothing to lose. And do join us for our upcoming events. We've got the Mushaira later today. Then on Sunday, 18th of May, we've got an event, a literary event, and then we've got a youth event on Wednesday, 21st of May. They are all listed on MACFEST Eventbrite. So that's all from me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Katarzyna. Finally, from me, Mobeen, that was absolutely a brilliant feast. What can I say? Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. See you soon for our next panel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.